All right. So yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking the time to come tonight for this Arts Undergraduate Research Internship Awards information session. So every time I mention ARIA, this is what I'm referring to. It's a long acronym, so I'll be mentioning ARIA throughout the session. My name is Jade. I work for the Arts Internship Office along with Anne Turner, who is here tonight. So if you have any questions about the application process or anything specifically about ARIA, feel free to ask us, or I'll share information about how you can contact us after the session. And yeah, we have two wonderful speakers as well with us tonight who can share their firsthand experience of ARIA. All right, so I will get started. So a quick agenda of tonight's session. I will give an overview of the ARIA program, the roles of the students and professors, as well as how to reach out to professors, which is always a big question on how to get involved. Again, tips on finding the right project and the application process. And again, we'll have our two speakers share their experiences. Again, we're a pretty small group, so feel free to send your questions in the chat as well as they come. And if you have any at the end, we'll open up for a Q&A session. So first introduction of the Arts Internship Office for those of you who aren't familiar with us yet. So it's a great resource, anything internship related. So we offer internship opportunities, funding opportunities, as well as training opportunities, whether it's a research internship or non-research. So the ARIA program is our research-specific internship opportunity. If you're interested in different opportunities, we'll have more specific info sessions about those opportunities as of January. So good to keep an eye on those. But tonight we'll go in depth about the ARIA program. So it was established in 2010 to support undergraduate students who undertake research during the summer under the direct supervision of a faculty member. So last summer, we had 20 students receive over $190,000 as recipients of the ARIA Awards, including two of them who are here tonight. So again, it's a great opportunity, and we congratulate everyone who completed their projects last summer. So in terms of student eligibility, if you're interested in pursuing ARIA, you have to be currently enrolled in an undergraduate program in the Faculty of Arts. So good to know that this is really a program for undergraduate students who want to pursue research. There is a GPA requirement, as this is quite research intensive, as well as a credit requirement. So as we were saying with Anne just now, like around U2 is usually your best timing to apply for ARIA. But again, in terms of credits, it can depend on people's journeys throughout McGill. Again, not everybody reaches 60 credits at the same time. If you have any questions or worries around those requirements, you can always come and talk to me and Anne before applying to make sure that you do qualify for the program. Good to note as well that you have to be a returning student in the fall after the summer, so for fall 2024. So if you're graduating in May, unfortunately, you would not qualify for the ARIA Award. Very important note as well is that it is only one application per student and per professor. So as you're reaching out to professors, please make sure that they haven't already agreed to apply with someone else. And students who have received ARIA in the past, again, would not be favorized to do ARIA again. And again, so requirements, I will explain the training opportunities that come with ARIA, but most of them happen during the month of May, and all of them are in person. So we encourage students to be present on campus for the month of May, unless it is for a university-related activity such as exchange or things like that. Again, if that's a worry for you, feel free to come chat with us about your specific I forgot the word. But
situation.
Yes, situation. Thank you. So yeah, why would you want to do ARIA? So it's a great opportunity to engage in high-level research, and it's a great preparation for graduate studies. Again, as our past ARIA recipients can tell you. You gain a lot of skills related to methods inquiry and a one-on-one mentorship from a faculty member. So it's a great opportunity to get a better relationship with one professor. So your role as a student is to support the research of your supervising professor by undertaking a specific research internship project. So within the overall research of the projects you're working with, of the professor you're working with, you will have your own sub-project. And again, there's a lot of work that goes into the application. Again, a lot of discussions with your professor to figure out kind of what will be your project throughout the summer. And we ask you to give an outline. So again, planning expectations, responsibilities, the project timeline, and as well as figuring out like how often you will meet with your supervisor, just to give both the professor and yourself a bit of a, again, an outline and a framework on what your summer is going to look like. So again, last year we had, I don't know what is it for someone 2023. So yeah, in terms of the awards, it comes with a total award of $5,000. So half of it comes from the faculty members. So this is one of the requirements for the professors. You have to make sure that they have $2,500 available in their research fund. And one small detail that might seem not familiar to you, but it has to be processed through Banner Student Aid. So again, this is a requirement on the professor's side. So as you discuss with the professor application, or even when you first present to them the ARIA project, please make sure to mention the Banner Student Aid, because that's the only way to process the award. And then the other half comes from our office that is generously funded by various donors. And so you get a total award of $5,000 for the summer. So how it works, once again, one of the first steps is, getting all the information about ARIA and then finding a supervising professor. So again, we'll go into more depth on how to do that, because again, that's often a question that students have. Once again, a requirement is that the faculty member agrees to pay $2,500 towards the total awards. We'll go into the application process and all of its steps. But the final step is for the professor's department chair to confirm that the funds are available. And once again, Banner Student Aid is good to keep in mind. And so the application form is not only by you, but really you apply jointly with the supervising professor. I will go into more details today about what the application looks like. So the research internship itself lasts 11 weeks over the summer. It starts in May and ends around July. Again, we ask that students are on campus for the month of May to be able to attend the various workshops and trainings. Once again, unless you have extenuating circumstances, such as exchange. And in terms of hours per week, we usually recommend between 25 to 30 hours per week. So once again, you'll lay out all of these details during your application. So how to first get involved in research, how to get started before even you reach out to the supervising professor. You should first follow your curiosity, your interest. Once again, as our speakers can tell, you're going to spend 11 weeks, full time doing research on that topic. So make sure that you do have an interest for it. And again, a few questions you can ask yourself. So what topics have interested you in class? What would you like to know more about? And what else has been written on the topic? So once again, you'll kind of have to come up with a research topic for yourself within the spectrum of your professor's research. So it's great if you already ask yourself those questions going into your application. And already building on your strength. So again, it's quite an intensive research internship. So take account of your academic skills. So that's also why we ask for people who already have like a year or two at McGill. You need a bit of experience in research and what types of assignments you've done well on, what kind of skills you would like to develop more as well. So then the big question of talking to professors, again, we try to break down as well, the myth that professors are scary and intimidating. I think ARIA kind of helps with that as well. And so yeah, every professor and graduate student on campus is involved in their ongoing research project. So obviously, before you reach out to a professor, take the time to find out about their specific research. I'll give more resources on how to do that. And yeah, do some research about what kind of events and research projects are happening on campus. So one way to do that is to go on the department. So if you Google like anthropology McGill, you'll go on the department's website, and then there will be a list of all the professors in that department, and all of their research interests will be listed. So once I get to the website, I will maybe share one of those examples as well. And then there's a lot of networking opportunities. So take the time to speak to people in your department. Again, it can be a professor that you've already had a class with. That can make it easier to approach them, but it can also be someone you haven't had a class with. Again, just make sure to do some research on their research before you approach them. Again, you can talk to teaching assistants, departmental advisors, other students in your classes and conferences. Student associations are the AUS, the Arts Undergraduate Society, who also works with us for ARIA. And again, lots of events you can attend to kind of learn about the different research going on, such as the graduate student presentations, the lunch hour speaker series, departmental events, and special lectures and conferences. There's a lot of listserv, again, departmental listserv you can sign up on to be aware of all those events. So as well, you can go on our website and look up our past ARIA recipients. And as you can see, we list a quick bio of each student and what they will be researching, as well as which professor they worked with. So that's a good way to, again, see who already has done ARIA. So obviously, if you reach out to those professors, they've already completed ARIA, so it's easier. You won't have to explain to them as much. They'll be able to maybe even answer some questions that you have. All right, so a big question as well, when to reach out. I would say as early as possible. Maybe your speakers can give a bit of an example of their own timeline as well. Just to keep in mind, the deadline is February 25th. So it goes by pretty quickly. I would say it's great to reach out to professors maybe before the Christmas break. Again, professors are really busy with exams, corrections and everything. So it can be great to reach out before the Christmas break if possible. Otherwise, I would say as soon as possible in January. And again, you want to make sure that you give yourself some time to fill in the application form that I'm going to show a bit more about afterwards. And again, since you're not only applying yourself, but with a professor, you want to make sure, once again, that you give some time and not rush things last minute. So yeah, now I'm going to give the mic, virtual mic to Jack, who completed an ARIA internship last summer.
Appreciate it, Jade. Thanks a lot, and welcome everybody. Thanks a lot for coming this evening. It feels really, really weird to say, evening, considering it's 5:45 and it's already black outside. But I guess when you think about it, that's just kind of the way Canada works. So also, I should say on that note, welcome to all first years. So the short story with me and ARIA is that having completed my internship at the end of last summer, it really gets me thinking to when I started focusing on it and really considering ARIA as a proper summer option a little earlier this spring, this year. Because ever since first year, and just to be clear, sorry, I didn't mean to remove the spotlight if you put that on me. I appreciate that, Jade. Thanks. I should say, everyone, ever since first year, I can't remember the exact time and place I found out about ARIA, because one of the things I've done since first year has been to really skim and read through every communications email, whether I got it from my faculty directly, from the Political Science Students Association, from the AUS, from the Arts Undergraduates Society, or McGill MROs. I always just skim those emails you get in your inbox, even though they're really pesky, because, as time goes on, you'll get more and more of them a week, and you're like, all this stuff I have to read through. But honestly, it's worth it, because without that, I wouldn't have seriously considered such opportunities as ARIA for last summer. So I should say, though, that given that I'm in my final year, I'm in U3, and I'm pursuing an honors in political science and a minor in economics, naturally, I was looking for summer whether job, internship, or research opportunities this past summer in 2023. So with ARIA as a potential option, I approached one of the professors in the political science department, Professor Khalid Mustafa Medani, who it's fun fact, I've never actually had as a prof. That's the kind of connections you can make through ARIA to other profs. Even if I never had Khalid Mustafa Medani as a prof, I knew his work because originally I'd seen an advertisement on his door for Black Markets and Militants, which by early January, February 2023 was his recent book about the rise of informal financial remittance networks in the Middle East and North Africa. Given I had a strong interest in studying the Middle East in terms of international relations and political economy, and in studying development economics and international development, combined many of my favorite subjects. So I kind of skimmed over his book. And at some point I just emailed him. I said, I love your book. When are your office hours? He told me, and I just came in and we just got to talking. And eventually I popped the question saying, I really like your work. I wonder if we can possibly expand on it. And how would you feel about being my supervising professor for ARIA, for the Arts Research Internship Award this summer? And he agreed by roughly earlier this year. So the way it went was that eventually we talked for a while, we spoke for a while, and eventually we agreed on a topic having to do with evaluating the effects of labor remittances, which is the money that migrant workers send back home to their host countries, on development in their home countries in sub-Saharan Africa. We restricted the unit of analysis or the scope of analysis to sub-Saharan Africa because Professor Medani is actually the head of the African Studies department at McGill. So it only seemed fitting there. So once we agreed that we essentially wanted to expand on the research in his book, describing not so much as he explores in his book the effects of informal remittance networks on the rise of militancy in Northeast Africa, but on the effects of labor remittances on international development in sub-Saharan Africa. We sort of ran with that idea and then eventually submitted our pitch to ARIA and were approved for research in this past March of 2023. So as time went on, through every now and then I would email him and I would meet with him over Zoom over the summer. I was conducting my research and essentially compiling a literature review on the subject. And while I eventually came out with a pretty firm scholarly consensus that remittances do not have the necessary kind of macroeconomic effects to lead to international development in sub-Saharan Africa, and there actually needs to be a development of the financial system in those countries required. It still was a fantastic experience collaborating with him on this research, and I'm really honored to have been a pupil of his, given that I really admire his research. So I think this all just goes to say, through ARIA, I was able to connect with professors I've never even had to pursue projects that I really wanted to pursue. And I think the biggest lesson I've drawn out of this, and the biggest tip I have for everyone here tonight, is that if a lot of you are for sure wondering whether or not this is going to be a good option for you next summer, whether or not you want to do this, and I can truthfully say that if you're taking any interesting classes right now, or if you're taking any interesting classes next semester and realize that by January, not before March, because around then is going to be when ARIA applications are due. But if like I said, if you're taking any interesting courses right now or next semester, I definitely would apply for ARIA, because you don't even need a specific research question initially, even though it's important that you talk to your prof enough to come up with a pretty specific research, pitch proposal before the deadline. It's really not that necessary to do this if you don't know exactly what you're going to do right now. All you have to do basically right now is to think about what interesting classes do you have, and then reach out to those profs, because I guarantee you that multiple profs you ask, if you ask more than one of them, they would express some interest in supervising students for this research. It looks great for them. And more than anything, especially as I think of applying to grad school and certain careers after the end of my degree next semester, this is definitely something that sets me apart from the pack as far as having actual research experience through my school, through ARIA, that's going to make me look really good on a resume. So out of all those added dimensions, I think, even though it can be really overwhelming, kind of being confronted by not only are you, whether you just got out of or are in the middle of midterms, we're all preparing for something right now. Even though school's super busy right now, and you may find this super intimidating, I think really just the most you should do right now is just to think about what interests you, what kind of courses you have that interest you, and what kind of profs might you like to, I don't know, do a little more research with. So I think just what really helped me was just being patient and enjoying the process through that. And so, you know, as I said, one more time, if you're interested in anything like that, just ask your profs. Do you think this would be a good option for you? Yeah, so overall, I also just want to thank the Charles and Betty M. Maldoff Family Foundation for sponsoring my ARIA in my research project, in case I see this. I have endless thanks for them to have given me this opportunity. And with that, I just want to say thanks a ton, everyone, for setting aside the time to come tonight. And I really, really hope you consider this for next summer. Thanks a lot, Jade.
Thank you. Oh, can you see my screen? All right. All right, can you see the website? Yes, great.
Yes.
All right, so this is our website, Faculty of Arts Internship Office, and then you just have to go on the Research Internship ARIA tab. And this is where you'll find all the information. So first you can see the recording of last year's info session. So after tonight, hopefully the recording will be all good and I'll be able to upload it right here. So again, if you want to go back to what we said tonight, you'll be able to do so. It kind of obviously goes over the same things I am describing tonight, but in more detail. So again, the role of the professor, the role of the student, how to find a professor. So as Jack was saying as well, whether if it's already your professor, then you already know their office hours. I think office hours are really the best way to connect with professors. Yeah, even if it's a professor that you haven't had as a prof in a class. So what I was saying earlier about finding their research. So for example, if you Google political science McGill, then you would get on their website, and then it's usually called people for each department. And then you can see the different categories. And then this is a list of all the professors. So again, you have their email address. You can reach out to them and ask about their office hours if they're not publicly shared. And just here you can already see like areas of interest. So some have more details than others on their research. So for example, here you can see their publications. Could be a good idea, again, if you haven't, I mean, whether you've had them as a professor or not, just to read a bit about what they've done. Again, just knowing about their research. But as Jack was saying, it's okay if you don't have a very specific research question already figured out. It's really cooperation as well with the professor, so you can figure that out together. It's really a partnership, again, they gain from that as well. So again, eligibility criteria that I've already mentioned. In terms of selection criteria as well are kind of laid out here. So relevance of the research project, mentorship provided to the student, the learning goals and outcome, the research plan and feasibility of the project with 11-week timeline. Again, making sure that the project is feasible for the students and within that timeline. Academic record, and yeah, again, just making sure it's one application per supervisor, per faculty supervisor. So that's also why it's good to reach out early to make sure that you secure your spot with that one professor. But again, just to give you also an overview of like everything that goes into the selection, it's not just based on GPA or anything like that. It's really just the overall application. So here again, role of the student, role of the faculty member, award payment. So good to note as well that the payment is done in 4 installments. Is that correct for ARIA? So in several installments throughout the summer. So it's not
4 installments.
Yeah. So again, there's all the details here on that. So again, this is a list of the donors that contribute. And then again, more details on taxes, as well academic credits. So if you have any questions about getting credit for your ARIA internship, it might be easier to set up a one-on-one call with our office, but just to know that it's also an option as well to do a credit course after the summer in the fall. So now let's get to the application process. So everything is done on the web form. For now, it's not open yet. It's going to open mid-January. And so since it's not open yet, we do have a list of everything that you need to prepare beforehand. So we're also working on this to make sure that all of the information is updated, but you can already base on what's on the website. So personal and academic information, this is nothing new. This is your name, your email, your McGill ID number, information like that. Your unofficial transcript that would be downloaded directly from Minerva. Faculty supervisor's information. Once again, that would just be their name, email, things like that. McGill fund and grant number. So that would be a question for the professor. And then what you already want to really look into is a project title and description. So once again, this is done hand in hand with the faculty supervisor once they've agreed to supervise you for ARIA. So it's a page worth of description. And again, we give some really important, you really want to clearly lay out, like it can be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like in paragraphs, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and just really answering those questions very directly.
That's probably the best, is to be really clear at that point. We've seen it where it's really written in very long draft form, and we find it much easier if the professor really answers, 1, exactly what that is, 2. It's really helpful to the committee, and because you're here tonight, you're getting information that other students aren't getting, and this is really key to a good application.
Like how to make your application stand out. Is really to answer all those questions very clearly. And then again, you have to think of the start date, end date, number of hours per week. Again, this is all done in agreement with your professor. And then have a rough weekly internship schedule and meeting schedule. Again, it's good to have those discussions early on to make sure, again, for everyone involved, that you get supervision throughout your time doing research. As well as details on location, travel or accommodations. So if you are thinking of doing any travel components during your ARIA research, it's very important to know that obviously you have to prepare for that well in advance. So I would say to do it even now. So we have a travel tab on our page that you should read carefully. And the main thing that you really have to do in advance is a pre-departure orientation. So even if you're just considering, even if it's not confirmed yet, you would go on the McGill Abroad website, and it's a My Courses training. The next cycle opens on December 1st. So again, you really have to register for it during the opening cycle, so between December 1st and 8th. And then conduct the My Courses on your own time. And then at the end, you get a certificate of completion. So if you do want to travel for your ARIA, you're going to have to upload that certificate with your application. So once again, it's very important. And again, the pre-departure orientation really covers everything you need to know before you go on a travel. So again, those are not information that you want to have last minute. It's really, and again, even if it's not confirmed, it's really great to have it done. We also require it for other internships as well. It's only 1 certificate and it's valid for a year. So also if you've already completed it for exchange or something like that and it's still valid, you can submit that certificate. So an important note to think of. Yeah, exactly. So here we give, you'll hear back by March. So again, good to keep in mind if you're applying for other things on the side as well. And once again, the deadline is February 25th at midnight, just before midnight. And just again, to keep in mind, obviously you're not there yet, so you would fill the web form. Once the web form is submitted, you'll have to download it as a PDF. So again, we give instructions on how to download as PDF. And then you send the PDF to your professor and instruct them to review and share with their department chair / department head. And then they have to send it back to us. The supervising professor has to send it back to us directly with the department chair / head CC'd, copied in this email with the following message. So you can just copy that just to certify that the application and the content is legitimate, appropriate, reasonable, and that the award is able to go forward. Again, this is to make sure that everybody in the department knows what's going on and to make sure that you will get your award during the summer. So again, it's a bit of a complex extra step, but it's to make sure as well that the supervising professor reviews the application. So once again, this is a bit of a longer application process. So you want to make sure to get started as early as possible. You can also have a look at the responsibilities. So as an award recipient, there are a few responsibilities, as I was mentioning. Again, this is all the details for 2023, but we will update for 2024 shortly. So there is an awards reception for both research internships and other internships that happens in April, where we take a group picture and again celebrate your internship. And then there's more specifically an ARIA introductory meeting, again, where we really give you all the tools to prepare for your ARIA internship, and you get to meet the cohorts of the other ARIA interns for the summer. Then we have 2 workshops. First is an equity in research workshop, which is a newer workshop that we've added to the training program, which really adds on again to your skills as a researcher, and gives you perspective in terms of equity in research. And we partner with other offices on campus to offer you those with the McGill equity team. And then we also partner with the library team to give you library research workshops. Again, there's in-person and virtual sessions, and they really give you all the tools to do research with the library tools. And then other requirements. So maybe you've learned, we use social media to promote this program, to make sure everybody knows about it. So we also ask that students, give back and share their internship stories so that other people can learn about it. And then we also try to organize some on-campus events for everyone that's on campus in Montreal. Doing research can be a bit more isolating than rather doing an internship with a big group of other interns. So we really try again to connect the cohorts so people can exchange, share tips throughout the summer. And again, we try to do a lot more social events like that. And then towards the end of the summer, so by August, we ask for a short final report, again, a few final documents to conclude your internship, again, for donor stewardships. And you also get to create a research poster. So you also have training on how to create a research poster, which I will show you some example of, but this is a really wonderful, piece of work that you get to keep with you, and really just shows like all the results of all the work you've put in throughout the summer. And it's wonderful for us and for the rest of the university to get to learn about the research you've done. So that's done during the annual research event. So it's a real research presentation where people again present their posters, their research, and a social event to once again present your research. So I will show as well the award recipients page. So that's what I was mentioning earlier. You can go back a couple years and see the topics that people have had, as well as the professors that they work with. So for example, here, you also have an attachment of their research poster, so you can see as well their research here. Is there any questions so far? I will continue. I have a few more slides on my PowerPoint. Let me just make sure. Right, can you see my PowerPoint? Great. Oh, back to the beginning, so let me go back. All right, so this is the application form. So again, this is what the form is going to look like once it's open. Again, it will be open by January. Again, these are the final steps to make sure that your application is complete. So to send it back to your professor, download as PDF, send it back to your professor, and then have it emailed back to us with the acknowledgement of the department chair. Those are the summer workshops I was mentioning. So the introductory info session, the library workshop, and again, you'll have a poster workshop resources to help you build your poster. Again, this is just a little summary. So everything spread out throughout the summer of all of your responsibilities as an ARIA intern. And this is the annual event that is usually held around early October. Here are a few pictures of our event this year, which was in a really wonderful room in the faculty club. And again, it's great. You can invite your professors, your parents, your friends, and as well, we try to promote to new students who are interested in applying for ARIA. And here are a few examples of research posters as well. So as you can see, you can get creative with it, which is really fun. And I will take a little break from talking and let Adrienne share more about her experience with ARIA. So go ahead, Adrienne.
Hi. So yeah, my poster is the one right before that, so you got to see a little sneak peek. I'm in U3 in psychology. So this was the summer after my U2 year, which I agree is like the best time to do it. Because I had a little bit of research experience already and I knew what kinds of things I was interested in. And my poster and my project was called Communication Quality in Infant Sleep Resources, an environmental scan. So that was like really looking at what public health resources are available for new parents, and then just collecting a ton of data on that. And then looking at where communication quality was really lacking and then making some recommendations for how to improve it. So how I found my professor, who is Marie-Hélène Penestri, was that she'd actually given a guest lecture in a course I was in, because she is a counseling psychology professor, which is different than the Department of Psychology. So you wouldn't really have classes with those professors. But she had given a guest lecture and I found her really interesting. So I emailed her what I liked about her talk and then kind of proposing the idea of ARIA and then what it was. And she had not taken an ARIA student before, so I had to really explain what it was, which you might find like some professors, especially in departments that don't get approached a lot, like educational and counseling psych, they don't get a ton, I don't think. So you might have to be the student to explain what that is. I also contacted a couple of other professors. Sometimes it's great if you have like a really clear idea of what you want to do to go after a professor, but I found I was really just excited to get involved in research. There were a lot of different things I was interested in. So I contacted a few professors, which I really recommend if you don't have something super specific, because a couple of them never responded. A couple of them had already taken a student, and then I got a response from one that was interested. For preparing for my application, I met with the lab coordinator and then with my supervisor over Zoom to kind of discuss the project and then more about like what ARIA was, because that was quite new to them. And I really recommend that to try and meet in person or over Zoom if you can, not just coordinating over email, because it gives you a chance to really talk about like shared expectations for what you'll be doing, how much supervision they intend to give you if you're going to be mostly working on your own, or if you work really closely with another professor or with a grad student in their lab. And yeah, and then we filled out the application. I believe I started emailing in early January, and I would recommend like December or January. It's better to do it sooner rather than later, because I found that the actual planning out of the application took some time. So you definitely want to get in contact sooner rather than later. And it ended up being really fantastic for me. I made some great connections with the professor I worked with and then other members in that lab. And I'm now doing a year-long research course supervised by the same professor. And looking at continuing into graduate school with her. Like, it was a really amazing opportunity. And I believe soon we're going to start working on another project using the same data I collected for my project. So it's really led to more research opportunities beyond the summer. And I believe that I've heard that from other students as well, is that they've been able to maintain those connections and get other sort of research opportunities out of that. In terms of practical tips, if you're in psychology, I would really recommend going on the faculty profiles like Jade showed, but then also a lot of psychology professors have lab websites that are often linked in their faculty pages, and going to those can give you a really good idea of how many grad students they have working on different projects, what are different areas of research that are going on at the same time. Like, it'll give you a better sense of what you could get involved in. And sometimes they will have a little section for undergraduates about if they agree to supervise undergraduates for different kinds of projects. So that can be really helpful as well. And then I would say when emailing, I really recommend, if it's not someone that you've had a class with before and it's not someone that you like know where to go for their office, so you're just cold emailing them like I did, I would really try to put something specific about their research. So I skimmed over some of their publications. I know that can seem really daunting if you don't know a ton about research and they're not going to quiz you about them. It's just good to have a good idea of the ideas they're interested in. Especially more recent publications will show like the kinds of data they're collecting at the moment that you might get involved in. And then I would also look for if on lab websites, if they have a way that they prefer to be contacted, because I found some professors really would like you to contact them directly with their McGill email. Some have a lab email. Some would like you to message a lab coordinator. Just like little things like that are good to show that you've really looked over their websites and their work. So yeah, I really recommend getting involved in it. I had a fantastic experience, and I think it's going to make a big difference in my graduate applications, which are very daunting. But gives a little bit more reassurance about the experience I have, and then the connections are totally invaluable. Like, they're amazing. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Adrienne. And yeah, really great tips. Again, that's it's really helpful to hear from students directly, and again, their own experiences, because obviously it's very unique to everyone, but really practical tips. And yeah, and thank you both again for taking the time to be here tonight and sharing your experiences. So this is kind of like the end of the presentation. Here are ways to stay connected. So we have drop-in. This is not updated. We don't have drop-in every day, but if you go on our website, I will try to share our contact page. If you go to Arts Internship Office contact, so we have on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at different times. If none of those times work, you can also just send us an email and we can arrange a different time, either in person or online. So really don't be shy to send us any questions. Again, the recording will also be like on YouTube. We also have social media and a newsletter / listserv that you can sign up for. So I would recommend, I'll send the instructions in the chat if you want to do it right away. Again, it's good to just, while you took the time to be here tonight, so I would suggest doing it right away. Again, yeah, don't be shy to ask us any questions, or if you'd like to be put in touch with another past intern, to send us an email. You know, as you go through the award recipients and you find like one project interesting, or if you know there's one professor you would like to approach as well, if there's anything. So yeah, our office is located in Leacock, 3rd floor, room 307. So we really recommend to come in person. I think it's a different approach as well once you get to meet with us. Yeah, I think we covered everything. If there's any questions, I'm scared to end the recording again, but I will try here. Okay, I think that worked. So yeah, we're a pretty small group. So again, don't be shy if you just want to like speak up or just send in the chats. I don't know, Anne, if there's anything you want to add that I forgot to mention.
No, I think that was great. I just maybe mentioned that the AMI program, that there's a January event where they can come and speak to other students.
Yeah, actually, at the events page, that's a big one. I will share the website again. So we also have a mentorship program called AMI, as you may have seen the posters around as well. We actually have quite a number of past interns who volunteered to be mentors. The actual sign up is closed, but we do have about maybe like 5 or 6 mentors that are still available. So you can send us an email at aio@mcgill.ca if you would like to be paired with a mentor. So you get like a one-on-one connection with a past intern, and really to ask them questions about their experience, how they applied, just like Adrienne and Jack tonight. So indeed, it's our mentorship initiative. And under the events page, so as you can see, tonight's info session is listed here. And we have other events. We will do like an AMI week mid-January. There's like a 5 à 7, so 5 to 7 in Thompson House, where we'll have different mentors and just past interns that will be there again in a more casual way. You'll be able to connect with them, as well as another session 10 to 12 on the Friday that week. So again, many opportunities to get in touch. I would say it's really the best way as well, you know, even to put in your application that you talked with past interns, you really got all that information. And yeah, it's great that you came tonight as well. As Anne was saying, like, you really get nitty gritty of how to really make your application stand out. Again, hearing from past interns and hopefully motivate you as well to go through the application process and yeah, join the ARIA cohort for 2024. So yeah, I think that's all. Again, if there's any questions, don't be shy. or if you would like to book an appointment with us as well to go through your own questions. I might stop the recording now.